The Full Melt Show is intended for a mature audience. It contains adult themes, adult content, and sometimes adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
The Full Melt. So today kicks off the Legalize campaign in the state of Michigan. I filed this report from Lansing. Michigan Normal's attorney Matt Abel said this.
Today's a wonderful day. It's the beginning of the petition drive to legalize marijuana. We're going to do it this year.
That led to this.
Am I? Legalize! Am I? Legalize! Am I? Legalize! Am I?
And Jeff Hanks, the president of MI Legalize, fired up too.
Thank you very much.
We're ready to rock and roll, man. We got 6 months to get 252,000 signatures. We are approximately 16 months away from ending cannabis prohibition in Michigan. If everybody gets out there, gets on the streets, gets their friends to sign, gets their family members, neighbors, get out there, pass petitions, we could have this done in a month if everybody stepped up to the plate. I'll tell you this just personally, I don't want to hear from anybody complaining about how bad our marijuana laws are if they haven't been out there and they haven't circulated a few petitions. Because we could end it all if everyone just steps up to the plate. So that's my reaction today. We're fired up. We're ready to go. We got to kick some ass.
But Hanks had even more to say when he spoke to the crowd from the Capitol steps. Here's most of what he said.
Many of you who've been fighting this battle for so long, we have an opportunity now, for the first time ever, to really make this happen. This is real. We can legalize in Michigan, and it's going to happen next year. We've got 6 months to get 252,000 signatures. That's not that tough, okay? If all of us go out here and you get a few of your friends and you get a few of your family members and you get anybody who's ever said, yeah, I think marijuana should be legal. Well, guess what? Get off your ass and circulate a few petitions. I got to tell you, let's just go over some scenarios here. Do you think there's 2,500 people in Michigan who want to have marijuana legalized? If 2,500 people got 100 signatures, our job is done. This can be done in a week. 1 week. Okay? So here's the thing. You got to get people to get up and get motivated. You got to say, get up, circulate a petition, get registered to vote, make sure that people sign in are registered to vote. This is not difficult if we all team together. Now, there's a lot of old divisions and there's a lot of petty personal stuff that people have had, and they say, oh, this law isn't perfect. Well, I'll tell you what, no law is perfect. Very few people have stood up on the steps of this Capitol and ever put together a perfect law. But when it comes to damn near perfect laws, if you look at the language we put together, this is about as good as you could ever hope to get. Let me remind you what we're doing here. First of all, we're eliminating criminal penalties for any marijuana charge there is, except for distribution to minors. Come on. The other groups out there are either not going to allow you to grow any plants, or they may allow you to grow 2, but they may allow your local government to ban you. Well, we're going to let you grow 12 plants without a license, without the government getting involved, without having a caregiver card, nothing. You got a right to grow your own garden, and you also got a right to share that garden with other adults. Okay? Yeah. You don't have to worry about going to jail. And we're going to legalize industrial hemp, and we're going to create thousands of jobs. The Michigan farmer is going to be able to grow the plant they want. We're going to develop all these technologies and all these things that we're waiting for, and we've been waiting for so long. We're not going to follow anymore. We need to lead in Michigan. The law we put together has cherry-picked all the best practices from all across the United States. And what we did, besides those things I just told you, is we built in protections for medical marijuana patients. We are not screwing with the Medical Marijuana Act, okay? It remains in place. Medical patients are protected. You can stay in the caregiver system if you want to, but our act also legalizes dispensaries. It legalizes concentrates, all the safest forms of medicine that people like Jim Power's son need. And I saw Steve Green out there somewhere. All the real medical marijuana patients who are being denied their medicine right now, we're going to give them their medicine, okay? We think that we're going to create at least 25,000 jobs in the state of Michigan. That's a conservative estimate. We are going to bring in hundreds of millions of dollars in new tax revenue. We are going to save hundreds of millions of dollars in costs for courts and local governments. We are going to have the police be the friend of the American people once again in Michigan when we pass this law. Okay? The people are not the enemy. Richard Clement knows it's time to free the weed! Free the weed! Free the weed! Free the weed! Free the weed for the jobs we need! Free the weed for the jobs we need! But my friends, I could go on, and I got to get off the stage here because there's a lot of other people here. Just remember this. This isn't about any one person. This is about us. This is about all of us coming together and unifying and saying to everybody, not only in the state of Michigan, but all across the United States, all around the world, that the eyes are on Michigan. And we're going to pass the best legalization law that has ever been passed in the world. We got a great group of people here, but again, this is about all of you. Get your petitions today. If you haven't signed, please sign. Go over to the tables. Take the petitions back to your home communities. Call your friends. Say, hey, brother, sister, we need you to go out. We need you to get 100 signatures. Take a weekend. Take a week. Go out and get 1,000. Okay, if we had 250 people dedicated enough to get 1,000 signatures, we would end cannabis prohibition. So we need all of you to be an ambassador for this campaign. This isn't about us. This isn't the board. MI Legalize is you. It's the people. We're taking the money that we raise from this and we're putting it into roads. We're putting it into schools. We're putting it into things that are about us, the people, doing the job that the politicians won't do. It's our time. It's the people's time. So this time, I want you to yell one thing with me here for 2016 and keep this in mind. And every time I get on these steps, I got to do this. So I want you to yell with me freedom on the count of 3, okay? As loud as you can. Some of the legislators inside, Bill Schuette might be across the street watching us out of a window. We want him to hear. We want the MRC and we want the MCC to know what we're about. 1, 2, 3. Freedom!
On the Capitol steps in downtown Lansing, I'm Steve Green for the Full Melt.
Are you high? What are you talking about?
This is the Full Melt.
Give me a break. The Full Melt Show. A marijuana discussion about news, culture, politics, and lifestyle. FullMelt.com. Toll free. 844-420-TALK. 844-420-TALK.
And coming to you live from the PetPain.com studios, I'm Steve Green, and this is another edition of the Full Melt Show. Where today, Michigan's kicked off its Legalize campaign. That's right, I said legalize. Legalize what? Oh, legalize marijuana, legalize cannabis, legalize hemp in the state of Michigan. I'm going to just tell you I am beat. I am beat after being out there all day today. Let me just tell you that also I am beat. I am beat after doing this entire show previously before this broadcast. It was a live rehearsal intended for broadcast. It never hit air. Very frustrated by that. And rather than just repeat, I intended to talk about this somewhat on this program and invite people in. Instead of repeating all of that, I'm just going to bring you directly to the people who were involved much in the campaign and are live right now out at our Omara's restaurant in beautiful Berkley, Michigan. And I will hopefully we will join live the Planet Green Trees radio program already in progress as we speak. If everything goes as planned. Will it go as planned? I'm not sure. So far it is not going as planned. It is a bit rough and tumble, I must admit. Let's see if we can join the program. If we hear Michael McCamorn's voice, we'll know that it worked. And something is not working. There we are. So it seems like they're doing a lot of music out there. And they may have taken a break already after a rant. I'm not sure. I'll tell you what, rather than getting a strike on our YouTube for playing commercial music, what I will do instead is talk while the music's playing. It sounds like the song is ending. Back to the Planet Green Tree Show. In progress. Oh, it's music still. What are they doing? They can't be having difficulties out there. I'll be frustrated if they're having difficulties out there. So what I'm going to do rather than play that music, because I don't want to play the music, I'm interested in hearing them talk about what's going on and the people and the players. I'm not sure if they're all out there yet. So what I will do in the meanwhile is the following. Since we already have sponsors on this program, what I'll do is cut directly to the sponsors of this program. We'll go to break, and we'll come back to the Planet Green Trees radio program, already in progress. Right now, we don't want to hear the music. So we'll hit a break. Boy, the day has not gone as planned, I'll just tell you. It has not gone as planned! I had much better things in store for you. We did get that report off. So now that we had a program that didn't air, and now one's going to air, a bit late, I might add, we'll come back after this break and rejoin the Planet Green Trees program in progress right here on the Full Melt Show. You're getting the full melt. He says it too.
You're getting the full melt.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
Get growing with GrowMax. Indoor, outdoor, beginner, or a warehouse full of Gavitas. Probiotic organics, or huge production with Max Power Monster Aeroponics systems. We can help you rock it. YouTube GrowMax with 2 X's. Customer service is why we're blowing up. And I'm Dave. My cell number is 906-221-2111. We also specialize in electrical and HVAC and new double-ended bulb technology. 906-221-2111. Get growing. GrowMax.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions. Activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at canalock.com. Visit canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
This summer, discover the one place where your family will create unforgettable memories. Welcome to Jurassic World. Welcome to Jurassic World. Welcome to Jurassic World. Welcome to Jurassic World. Rated PG-13.
Get the beach bong ready for sunshine and sandy beaches in McGrill, Jamaica this November as the High Times Cannabis Cup moves from Amsterdam to the Caribbean. Your trip starts with the absolute best rates on air, hotel, events, and all your Cannabis Cup travel needs at travelcannabiscup.com. Come stay with us, relax in the sun, play in the sand, and smoke down with the cool people, man. Get to the High Times Jamaica Cannabis Cup. Best travel prices right now at travelcannabiscup.com.
So this is Brian Rogers
and Caitlin
from CNN's High Profit.
And you're listening to The Full Melt Show.
Trying in the larger scheme of things to see if we can outside of the idea that they had a great kickoff. A great kickoff indeed to the MI Legalize campaign out on the Capitol steps today. I am attempting to make connection through a Skype protocol here on the program. And it sounds like we might have obtained it. Let's just see if it works. So we've launched the application. We Skyped in. Are we going to... Oh, geez. It's hard to tell. It's such a tiny screen. So let's just see if we can go back over here to the page. We're going to go to the page. We're going to see if we can't find the click to call with the Skype. Oh, good Lord. I might just click back on the thing and forget the Skype link. I don't know why. This is frustrating to me. It says we're already on the Skype. We click on the Skype, launch the application. The application's launched. What the heck is going on? It says start the call. You're about to make a call. Hey, we're Skyping in, folks. I think it might just work. Hey.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, we're there. We Skyped in.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
Yes, we're going to Skype in with them.
That's a percentage of something.
So now we join the Planet Green Trees radio program already in progress. Live at Omara's restaurant in Birmingham, Michigan.
Signatures, but realizing you have to collect more than that because some of them will be invalid or duplicates. So
is it 300,000, 200,000?
253,000.
Okay, right. But well, the idea is you get 500 signatures and 500,000, and hopefully 250 of them are right.
Exactly. We estimate about 350,000 to be collected. So the extra 100,000 to allow for the duplicates and for the invalidated. Also, too, the signature petitions go through a validation process by the Secretary of State, where if there's a mistake on a petition, they could potentially invalidate the entire petition and lose 8 to 10 signatures for a single mistake. So you have to collect more than you need, just allowing for the Secretary of State's office or the Board of Elections to just invalidate a few of those here and there. So it's only sound policy to pad your numbers that way with additional signatures. And here in the state of Michigan, we have 9.7 million people. We should be able to do this.
It seems like the number, the actual number of valid signatures is less than it was in 2012. Am I right about it? It seemed like it was like more for some reason. Am I right? Does anyone remember?
They're pretty close, I think. They're pretty similar.
Christine, was it a constitutional amendment with repeal today?
I understand. Like I remember, like the 400,000. Maybe that was.
Right.
So you needed more.
Okay. Maybe
that was that higher standard Christine mentioned a moment ago. What was that? 317, Christine?
Somewhere around 370,000.
370, not 317. 370,000. Yep. And the difference being constitutional. It's much more difficult to change once you've altered the Constitution. But the state of Michigan seems to not be favoring petition drives that offer constitutional amendments because they're getting rejected left and right.
One interesting dynamic that could develop here, and let me just play objective news host or radio host, and I'll put this to Jim Powers, who I know has been very vocal about this. I know that, Jim, you're not happy about the MRC concept. Let's say like only one of them get onto the ballot, and it happens to be MRC. Their biggest opponent is going to be who in the state of Michigan?
Well, it would probably be the medical marijuana patients that depend on the act in order to obtain their medication.
You're right.
I think it's going to go beyond that because it's the idea that they're going to break that down, what's maybe working, and that is going to resonate beyond just the patient community. You know what I mean? Because, I understand the idea that we're outdoing the previous, majority or supermajority vote of the people that, or majority vote of the people that creates the initiative with another one if they get the vote, but they're trying to change something that has already been established by that same group of people. It seems to be, I think it is just a terrible, terrible policy. And they do have the money. It's one of the things that will really provide a great opportunity to fight back against.
No, I totally agree. And I know one of the topics that we've been discussing quite a bit lately is the ability to grow the patient's 12 plants, and that as things look, that will more than likely be taken away inside of the MRC's plan. And I know for a lot of the chronically ill children that we deal with, those 12 plants mean the world to their parents because they're using, ounces and ounces and ounces of material a month and cannot afford to go to an MRC retail shop where this product could be taxed multiple times as it moves through their tiered system and then finally arrives at the patient's doorstep. They're already in financial straits, and to remove that right and take that away from them, to me, is just totally unacceptable.
Forcing someone into the retail market and taking away their ability to provide for themselves and for their family, especially when directed to do so by a doctor, seems un-American at its very core.
Well, we know, and this is, we know and we heard, for example, at the autism petition, that parents take the position that they get and find the right medicine. First they're going to do whatever they can to get there, and if they do get, no one's going to take it away from them. You get the mama and papa bear factor that's in there. So the message that I took away from that regarding the children is like, we're going to try to get it so that parents are protected by passing autism. But if you don't, I don't give a what, because my kid comes first, and if you got to drag me away, then so be it. And I see the same kind of thing happening here. Like if this group is not identified and protected in this transition, they're going to be the one. Then it's not legal. Now it's not really legal. As Chad says all the time, it's not legal unless you can grow your own.
That's
because
right.
then you are forced. You can buy it, you can possess it, but everything else is illegal.
Well,
I still have a lot of work as a lawyer. That should be the goal. Like, how can we make Comorn? It's got to get a new profession. If it was going to be that, you know what I mean? Because people are going to need lawyers. Otherwise, parents, what have you. And I don't know that the policy change comes along with. I don't know if we're at that point yet, which is like, well, this is an attempt to legalize everything. So if we come across some patients or people that are still caregiving, we're just going to let them be. It's not going to be like that because of the economic model. It's the equivalent of all of a sudden people started making Vicodins in their basement. It's not going to be the police that are coming after. It's going to be the manufacturing company. They're just going to sprinkle fairy dust and you're going to disappear. That's how their solutions and remedies.
But the My Legalize program helps to eliminate your job too, though, by taking away criminal penalties for marijuana offenses and replacing them with civil infractions.
And I'm still supporting it.
Yeah. And just
that applause was for Joanne, by the way.
Just to kind of expound on that, aside from the legal problems, I know for our kids, as Michael mentioned, they use a very specialized form of medicine. It's usually tailor-made to the child, and there's not a whole lot of profit in that. It's not something that these large commercial grows are going to be interested in providing. So even aside from the legal protection not being there, the availability at these retail outlets for true medicine that's tailor-made to the patient is going to be non-existent, and people are going to be left out in the cold.
One of our callers wants to know, where can somebody sign up to be a signature gatherer? How does one get involved if they should want to?
Yeah, you can go to our website at www.milegalize.com. We're actually launching a brand new website this week. There is a section there for volunteers. You can fill out the form online. That'll get it to our volunteer coordinator, and they will reach out to you shortly and get you all hooked up with members in your area that have already stepped up and are organizing the campaign for your county.
Lots of opportunities to participate on different levels, too. Some counties need organizers. Some counties need petition signature gatherers. Other times we just need people to come and volunteer. We have an event for the Blue Water boat race coming up in the middle of July. We need people to sit at the table there and to help direct petition signatures and to help generate folks to come to that. Lots of different events coming up. Even this weekend we have a Traverse City event. Jamie, talk about that.
Okay. Well, we've been doing a series of town hall-style meetings across the state, and this is the next one in Traverse City. But for this one, we actually have petitions. So there's an explanation and a presentation on our language, and then we do a question and answer with those in attendance, and get people trained and ready to collect signatures on the spot. And this will be the first meeting after we launch, so it'll be cool to get signatures directly after this. We'll be helping out with that in Traverse City.
And lots of other events going on for MI Legalize, and they can all be found on our website at milegalize.com.
Yeah, the Ann Arbor Art Fair, we really need a nice group of people. There's about 500,000 people who come into town over those 3 days. A lot of them are from Michigan, and we can get a lot of signatures during that time.
What are some of the questions that have been asked and that come up at some of these presentations, if you can elaborate on that?
Most of the people that we talk to that are part of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Program want to know about plants. They want to know about weight limits and plants and counts and how the MMA is going to be affected. And we've made it clear the MMA is not going to be affected at all. We do not touch the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act, and in fact, our proposal bolsters the ability for patients to take care of themselves, because as a participant, you're allowed 12 plants per MI Legalize program, but there's no weight limit associated with that. So you get 12 plants and whatever you can produce from that, which means there is no 2.5 ounces any longer under the MI Legalize program. That's a huge advantage for most of the patients that we have out there, since many of the issues that are resolved in courts are over possession limits. And even if you were to make a violation over your 12 plants, it would be a simple civil infraction. But the other big question that we have from people is, what are you going to do with taxes? We have a 10% maximum tax. It's an excise tax. It's not a tax on medical It's a tax on recreational. It's a tax on adult use marijuana. So there will be no tax on medical. And the 10% can never get any bigger. We don't allow government to swell that 10% number to a larger amount. However, we do include a mechanism to make it smaller. So later on, if we decide that we've sucked the people dry as much as we can and we want to give back to them, we can take it to a smaller amount. 10% maximum on the excise tax would be one of the most forgiving taxes in the United States on recreational or adult use cannabis.
Well, and it would only be for those adults purchasing for personal use commercially, and then they would know where it's going to go, which is to the roads, to education, and to the local communities that choose to allow the commercial activity. So it's represented, and it's capped, and it's only for those who choose to participate in it.
The other question we get a lot is, we talk about hemp in our program, and how does it bolster hemp? We talk about the kids in our program, and how does the program protect pediatric use? That's a big part of what we do. And Jim, would you like to talk about how we protect pediatric use?
Yeah, we don't just protect it. We bolster it quite a bit. So, when you talk to parents of pediatric patients in the state of Michigan, they'll usually bring up that there's two main issues with our law when it comes to pediatric cases. The first is that our law requires for 2 doctors' recommendations for the child. And then the second is just the qualifying conditions list and the fact that it's so restrictive. So what we've done as part of our petition is allowed for pediatric use or medical use by anybody for whatever condition their doctor deems the therapy necessary. So that means that no longer do we have to worry about presenting cases of insomnia and anxiety to the medical review board, but that a doctor could evaluate you and just recommend the use of marijuana for that condition. And then obviously the 2 doctors' recommendations. It's really tough to get a doctor to sign on board for some of these kids, even if they're really dire cases, especially in some of these outlying areas. So reducing that requirement to just the single physician would just be a huge step forward for our community, and is something that we really support quite strongly.
People ask about the CPS also. Can you describe how we address that issue?
Yeah, so we require that the CPS agency or any agency that's related with law enforcement that would come into your home to harass you about your children are able to articulate a clear and present danger to your child. So it's very much like the medical marijuana law, which states something very similar that we've had luck with in court. And then for the pediatric cases, as it is today, we use oil for my son, and oil under Section 4 is questionable at best. So a constant threat to him, us, and any other pediatric family is DHS or CPS entering into our lives. And the MI Legalize program, in clearing up the legality of that substance, would also remove that threat for our families.
There's so many different aspects of the question about marijuana legalization. It requires a document that's thick and that's robust. On the back of the petitions that we have for MI Legalize, the full language of the petition is printed as per law. However, that's also available on the milegalize.com website. So if you're interested in more of the details about some of the actual language and how we accomplish some of the things that we're talking about up here, please visit the website, take a look at that, and read that language on your own.
I know we're going to be one of the places that people can get petitions at our office in Northwestern, in Southfield. But one of the things that was mentioned is it's important for people to know what the best way to go about doing this is. There's a tremendous number of events that will be taking place throughout the summer, tremendous amount of opportunity to get signatures, and not a lot that's involved with it. You'd be surprised. Republican events, conservative events, liberal events, libertarian events, religious events. This is an issue that crosses all party, political, economic, social, and religious lines, I believe, because it's something that has been just a failed policy and inequality to the people that choose to, want to.
It's touched so many lives.
So that's an important thing to think about. So don't think that, if there's an event, first of all, if there is an event going on in your city, town that you know about, some gathering of people, it's a great idea if you're not a volunteer yourself to call the leadership, the board, get in touch with people, let them know they will have volunteers there. Like, for example, we know in Howell tonight there's a hot air balloon. I think Steve Miller's there. He should have 1,000. He's not, but that would be a great thing. It's a great opportunity. There may have been, and it's going to be happening like that. So we know about that. People should know.
They kicked me out 2 years ago.
I know, but that's because you were a radio broadcaster.
They refused to let us broadcast our marijuana-based radio show there. So.
But
Flying high at the Balloon Fest. Hey, we had a question from the crowd here at Omara's restaurant here in Berkley. Sir, could you speak loudly and we'll get your question on the air? Mm-hmm.
The most compelling compared to alcohol is to make somebody else argue, why would you treat alcohol one way and marijuana another way with the tax for alcohol, tobacco, why not make that example?
Let me just repeat the question so that our listening audience can hear that. What he basically asked was, and thank you, by the way, for your question. He said he's a little bit new to this and is curious about the 10% excise tax. Why only 10%? Other sin taxes for other things seem to be different amounts. How did we arrive at the 10%, and what's the rationale behind that? I know Jamie's just chomping at the bit to answer that.
And I'm sure other people might have something to say also, but there's a couple different things. One is we saw what was going on in Colorado, which has a significantly higher tax, and there was a remaining issue with people choosing the illegal markets as being more attractive because the limits on what they can get in the stores and the higher taxes on them were not as attractive. So we decided to combat that issue, and they are working on that in Colorado. At the same time, the other reason is because the alcohol model is something that's familiar to people and that has been around, but it is not an efficient model. And it was purposefully made to be inefficient and to drive up costs and to create a scenario where only a relative few make most of the revenue, the distributors that are available in the industry. We want to make this available to all entrepreneurs, big and small. This is an emerging industry, and we don't have to do it in that way. We can do it in a way that we think is a little bit more fair and makes more sense.
One of the things to think about is if we legalize marijuana and we collect $10 million and the black market goes away, that's a good thing. I'm sorry, if we collect a 10 black market, if we try to collect $30 or $50 million a year, we price marijuana up so high that the black market reaches, and for a price of $20 or $30 million a year, we continue to allow criminality to breed within the communities. That's not positive, and it's kind of the opposite of what we're trying to do. So tax that generates money for schools, generates money for road repairs and for local communities is a good idea, but there's no reason for us to price cannabis at a level where one of the most economically challenged states in the United States of America simply won't be able to tolerate that kind of a level. And if you look at the urban centers, where the population is most dense, it goes to prove that you'll probably see the amount of cannabis sold in those areas simply because that's economics. Those are the places that are least able to afford a 20, 30, 40% tax, and those are the places where the black market is pretty well established. So taking a stand on an excise tax that allows revenue generation, but take the wind out of the sail of the Mexican cartels that are so inbred in our communities, taking away one of their tools to dominate our societies and control our children, that's a value. 10% is a reasonable tax in our estimation for those reasons. Save money on jails and courts too. Yep. I hope that answered your question, and I'm fantastic.
As they're building a big, huge expansion on the jail in Howell right now.
Yep. Anyway, points out the oddity that they're building a huge expansion on a jail in a community close to us right now, while we're trying to take people away from being occupied in those jails. Frankly, it was scary when prison corporations required a percent occupancy rate and things, and our government was so glad to privatize those things and make guarantees. You create stupid reasons for people to be put in. That's a horrible experience. You don't want to do that to folks.
I like the discussion about the concept of the alcohol model. Jamie, we talked about this earlier as a issue because it's come up with the Provision Center bill, which legislation, for those that don't know, if in the House, it's still, that hasn't gone out of committee yet, I think. But
there's been an update on that too, at least in rumor that there'll be another draft coming out.
Okay.
It won't rely on the distributor model, but what is called secure transportation model.
So basically,
I don't know the
same
details,
thing.
but it sounds just like the same thing, just using like a.
But my point is that what once was a local option that was supplied by the existing caregiver system in a market that developed through that has changed into a more structured replica of the existing. The last draft, not this rumored new draft, but a reflection of the alcohol model. And Jamie, you said a little while ago, especially in regards to the alcohol tax, it exists. It's not necessarily the best. It just exists. Some might say that, and I'm just trying to create some debate here, but some may say it works and it's been successful to whatever extent. We don't know anything different. And but others may say, why would we do that? There's all this other opportunity. It can be spread out more. That's not a good model. You have too many layers in it that's cutting out of the value of what could be realized from all this. So, and as we discussed, like any of the other models that mirror that, like why is the alcohol market the way? I mean, is it really the way? Is it a good comparison?
One of the real concerns is that in an alcohol model, there's a warehouser in the center. Did I cut you off?
No, I keep asking questions. I got a lot of questions about it.
But there's a warehouser in the middle, and what happens is the producer produces alcohol, they sell it to the warehouse who holds it, and then he distributes it to places. Any of you that have been familiar with cannabis know you can't warehouse that. You can't put pounds just sitting in a room someplace, and then later on, 2 or 3 months later, when someone decides they want it, you take it out and you sell it. You can't do that. It'll be moldy and dead by then. Exactly correct. As soon as it's ready, it should be gone. So the fact is, it's a perishable good that has to be treated in a way that's different from the alcohol model, from the alcohol system. If there's a
It seems we've lost our Skype broadcast connection, so if you'll stand by, we will continue our broadcast of our simulcast of the Planet Green Trees program, talking about the MI Legalize event that happened in Michigan today. We'll be doing that after we go through the commercial break. The commercial break should be rolling up right now as we speak. Is it doing that? It is not doing that. It is too far away. So while I'm trying to get our Skype connection back to the show, I would hope that you would enjoy listening from our sponsors, hearing from our sponsors. We cannot broadcast this program less than for our off. We're it for our off. I can't even say it right. Were it not for our awesome sponsors. Our sponsors are so awesome.
Distributors are going to buy out marijuana.
Yeah, see, the Planet Green Trees program is fading in and out on us, so I'm hanging up that Skype call. Hanging it up, I say. There you go. Hanging it up. And we'll do this commercial break, and we'll be right back with more, assuming we can get the Skype connection fixed, coming up after this message. Hang on.
You're getting the full melt.
Introducing Sacred Elements, a place for natural and alternative healing for the mind, body, and soul. Sacred Elements. It's one place, all solutions.
Alkaline water, herbal remedy, essential oil.
Sacred Elements.
Natural and organic shampoo, lotion, pain cream, bath salt.
Sacred Elements.
Beeswax candles and handmade crafts, canes and walking sticks, artwork, jewelry, and repurposed goods.
Sacred Elements. Next to the Sweet Leaf, 400 South Dorr Highway, Flint.
11 to 7 daily, closed Sunday.
Call 810-259-2570.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. Petpain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
You know, it's not easy out there, but it can be easier. And when it comes to medical marijuana in Michigan and chronic pain management, Dr. Bob Townsend, renowned for his patient advocacy and deep understanding of how patients and medical marijuana certifications fit together, makes it his hallmark to educate and provide the best holistic treatment for your condition. His knowledgeable staff makes you feel warm and welcome, and Dr. Bob makes you feel well. With locations across the state in Cadillac and Gaylord, Kalamazoo, Marquette, Mount Pleasant, Muskegon, Saginaw, Traverse City, you can't beat the convenience and feeling you get knowing you have someone on your side that cares. Denali Healthcare is on the web at denalihealthcaremi.com. Get answers to your holistic health questions or schedule an appointment now by calling 989-339-4464. Chronic pain management and holistic health answers is what they do. It's all they do. DenaliHealthcareMI.com. Get your certification and peace of mind now by making an appointment with Dr. Bob Townsend at 989-339-4464.
Get the beach bong ready for sunshine and sandy beaches in McGrill, Jamaica this November as the High Times Cannabis Cup moves from Amsterdam to the Caribbean. Your trip starts with the absolute best rates on airfare, hotel, events, and all your Cannabis Cup travel needs at travelcannabiscup.com. Come stay with us, relax in the sun, play in the sand, and smoke down with the cool people, man. Get to the High Times Jamaica Cannabis Cup. Best travel prices right now at travelcannabiscup.com.
Get growing with GrowMax. Indoor, outdoor, beginner, or a warehouse full of Gavitas. Probiotic organics, or huge production with max power monster aeroponics systems. We can help you rock it. YouTube GrowMax with 2 X's. Customer service is why we're blowing up. And I'm Dave. My cell number is 906-221-2111. We also specialize in electrical and HVAC and new double-ended bulb technology. 906-221-2111. Get growing. GrowMax.
It's the Full Metal Radio Show. So you noticed that the MI Legalize campaign kicked off with regards to their signature gathering. And today there was a rally down on the Capitol lawn. At the front end of this program, we told you about, what happened out there. So what we're is joining the Planet Green Trees radio broadcast, who is currently live, like we are. We're going to simulcast their audio. Why don't we get linked back into them? Will this do it this way? I don't know. Let's see. We're going to try. There we go. It seems like we might be linked back in now. I've turned the audio down because it's just a bunch of stuff that happens between now and the time we can hear them. Hopefully, if this works out right, it looks like we are now rejoining the Planet Green Trees program, broadcasting live from Omara's down in Birmingham, Michigan tonight.
Had included that it was prohibited to have both the Delta-9, the active ingredient of THC, and the carboxylate, the COH11, which is the metabolite of the cannabis. Either one of those, your system for a long time, for many, many years, was a zero tolerance, and they treated it independent of any bad driving, the same as a drunk driving case. Same effect on your driving record, same potential jail time, and it was same probation or more even. And then 2008, a case stopped and declared that the metabolite of marijuana is no longer a controlled substance. So you could have that in your system and not be in the per se mode. But then the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act came along, and for a period of time, things were very scary because once cases began getting thrown out in court because people had a card and possession was lawful, as it goes, the police would look for another reason. And the first thing that they were available, well, if you are allowed to possess it, you must have it in your system. And therefore, we have this per se law that if you have it in your system, you're driving in Michigan, we can charge you with the equivalent of a drunk driving. But, as mentioned, the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act has some language that says you can do anything you could do as any other person, limited to operating heavy equipment under the influence, driving under the influence. And the question, which was answered by the Michigan Supreme Court in People v. Kuhn, was that patients have, and are clearly articulated, have more protections, and there's got to be a proof of a correlation of the cannabis in the person's system and bad driving, which was a very important, significant recognition in the of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act, and recognizing that the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act has conflict language, so that when other existing laws conflict with the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act, they lose, and the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act wins. My point is that when the Supreme Court did this, they essentially declared that there should be no zero-tolerance law, and they were okay with patients ingesting cannabis at some time and driving at some time, maybe minutes before, maybe hours before, maybe earlier in the day. But so long as their driving was not impaired by it, they were okay with it. So said in a majority opinion the Michigan Supreme Court. And so far, things have been going okay. And if they weren't going okay, we would know about it because there would be statistics and complaining and legislative acts to try to change and create some kind of penalty for people that have it in their system. That has not happened. There's no evidence to support anything other than the necessity to prove beyond a reasonable doubt the causal link of the cannabis in someone's system and their bad driving. And that is a fair, reasonable position to take, and the existing law is an example that can be used. You got a group of people that are ingesting cannabis regularly and getting in cars and driving. If this was a problem, we would have statistics to say so. We don't.
Millions and millions of people did that every single day in Michigan, even before the Marijuana Act. There's just never been evidence in the state that it becomes that significant a problem.
All right, you were speaking about getting boxed out from the balloon event where you got your old partner in crime on that. Right. You got Steve Green for calling in from the his radio show. Steve Green, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
This one.
Everything good? Yes?
Can
No?
you hear us, Steve?
I can hear you.
Yeah. We can hear you, too.
Oh, my God, it works.
Steve Green is... It's too low.
Test,
Steve
hello.
Green calling in. This is a real radio voice. Steve Green, welcome to the show.
Hey, what are you guys doing? Can you hear me? Hello?
We're talking about...
Yeah, go
We're
ahead.
talking to you, Steve.
We're here at Omara's, and we happen to be mentioning about how short distance away Steve Miller, the LEAP speaker, is going to be at the Howell Balloon Ascension. And I happen to mention about a little problem you and I had at the Howell Balloon Ascension not that long ago. You want to use your deep radio voice to tell the listeners a little bit about that, Steve?
Maybe. Yeah, sure. Look, those people out there, they work really hard at that Balloon Fest. I remember when I was growing up, the big event in Howell was not the Balloon Fest. It was the Melon Fest. They were known for the Howell Melon Fest. But then the Balloon Fest kind of took over, and I kind of grew up with that thing. So I had connections to the people. I had been up in the balloons as a crew member many, many, many times before. They always like the locals because they like to know that you have the local terrain down so they know where to land. A lot of these guys are from out of state, and they're competing in sanctioned events. They don't want to come down in a bad spot, so they like the locals on board. So I used to do this a lot, and then I thought, well, why not just do a live broadcast from out there and maybe try and do a broadcast from the balloon? The people at the balloon event loved it. They said, come on out, let's do it. We got there, and they took a business card back or something. They found us on the internet, saw that we were connected to marijuana, and said, get the hell out. Goodbye. Had us escorted out by the police. Could not even participate in any they wouldn't let us in there to even be a part of any cruise absent the show. It was just absolutely aberrant behavior on the part of the Chamber of Commerce in Howell. Shame on you people. Sorry.
And that's a consequence of the drug war, Steve. When they fear marijuana because it's a foreign thing to them, because they've drank the Kool-Aid that's been poured in their glass for the last 40 years, you almost can't fault them too much for what they did. But it was atrocious. It was embarrassing. It was inappropriate.
We were all
and
set up. We had the booth all.
Legalization will eliminate this now.
We had the booth all set up. We were ready to do our live broadcast, and then you guys have to leave immediately.
But you know what, Steve? The Howell Balloon Ascension wouldn't have us. But Omara's is happy to have us. How about some applause?
Hell
here,
yeah!
guys?
Hell yeah, Omara's.
Omara's loves us here in Berkley.
Omara's, yeah.
I'm sorry?
I was applauding for
Joins us
Omara.
last Thursday of every month at Omara's. Steve, you should come down and join us. It's not that far from your place.
I have a broken vehicle, so there will be no traveling for this one. Just the way it is.
Is it time for us to take a break and move on to
I think so. We should come back and we should speak with Steve and the MOCC.
I think so, too. We're going to save the question for why the price of cannabis has gone down so greatly in Colorado for on the return.
But before we break, Christine Landino would just like to make a brief announcement, and then she has to leave. So go ahead, Christine, go right ahead.
This is more for the people that are going to be gathering signatures. There is one thing to remember that will make your life a whole lot easier. When you ask somebody to sign the petition, if they say no, no stands for next opportunity. Don't stand there and trying to persuade them. while you're standing there trying to persuade them to give their one signature on that petition, you just let 5 people walk by that would have signed it. So always keep in mind that no means next opportunity when you're trying to get signatures on your petition.
Great advice.
Thank you for the acknowledgement. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for all your hard work over the years. These conversations wouldn't be able to take place if it wasn't for people like you and Michigan.
And John,
Normal,
your husband, too.
And your husband, your family. And
He's been one hell of a backer.
He sure has. Yep.
It's not easy. It's not easy being an activist. I mean, that goes without saying, committing to it.
His health is very bad, so but still stand behind me. He does it. So.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Thank
Christine
you.
Landino, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, but those of you that were keeping score, you may remember Dr. Bogner was here. He's a OBGYN. He had to leave to go deliver a baby. It's a girl. All right. Woo! We'll take a quick break and be right back. Planet Green Tree is 1-347-326-9626.
All right, and as Planet Green Trees takes their little break, we'll rejoin them because they're going to play some music, and while they do, we'll take this opportunity to bless our broadcast help. So while let me dump out of Planet Green Trees, I have to hang up on that call. It's a Skype call. Got to hang up on them while they're doing their break. We'll rejoin them after our commercial break here on the Full Melt Show. We're legalizing marijuana in Michigan. Get out and sign your signatures on those petitions. Make sure they're appropriate. Make sure you're registered to vote. And get it done, finally, in Michigan. Back with more after this, coming up next.
You're getting the Full Melt.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at canalock.com. Visit canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Imagine a world where patients can use marijuana like any other medicine. The Marijuana Patients Organization challenges the status quo by helping our neighbors to enjoy a better quality of life. Visit the MPO at marijuanapatients.org and enjoy informative articles, engaging debates, and information about treatments, doctors, and dispensaries in your area. Over 50,000 people have registered at marijuanapatients.org since 2010. Join us at the Marijuana Patients Organization today, marijuanapatients.org.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. Petpain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
Introducing Sacred Elements, a place for natural and alternative healing for the mind, body, and soul. Sacred Elements. It's one place, all solutions.
Alkaline water, herbal remedy, essential oil.
Sacred Elements.
Natural and organic shampoo, lotion, pain cream, bath salt.
Sacred Elements.
Beeswax candles and handmade crafts, canes and walking sticks, artwork, jewelry, and repurposed goods.
Sacred Elements. Next to the Sweet Leaf, 400 South Dordt Highway, Flint.
11 to 7 daily, closed Sunday.
Call 810-259-2570. It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Radio Show.
And so here we are, celebrating the launch of the signature campaign, gathering signatures for MI Legalize. It sounds like they're still in a musical break over there at the Planet Green Trees radio show. I don't know why they're still in a music break. It seems like the music, they play a lot of music over there at the Planet Green Trees show. They're still they're on hold. Oh, look, while they're on hold, I'll just do this because I got to do this. Our friends out at Puff Danny's Glass Boutique. Puff Danny's is on 4th Street in Wyandotte. Allow me to tell you about his fantastic Puffapalooza event. Puffapalooza is happening live August 8th. It is at the Pine Hollow Golf Club on Trailer Park Drive in Jackson, Michigan. Gates at 11, music at noon. A lot of great things happening out there, particularly the live music. Admission is $20. For that, you get Degata, Aztec and the Barfly, Jeremiah Ferguson, OA's Light, The Hombres, LZ, Alchemists, Dogface Gremlin, 31 Legions, DJ Alex 5, I Am Trouble, and I believe Colorblind, Messy J, and Codini will be bringing the Detroit Funk to the Puffapalooza event. Again, this is Saturday, August 8th. Tickets now. VIP tickets are available. Limited campsites, $20. Vendors, full bar. There's a disc golf tournament happening on Sunday, so you can play disc golf in your spare time. And also on Sunday, the tournament, if you want to get involved with that, it's $10 per person with a cart. There will be live glass blowing, amongst other things. Get out. You don't want to miss it. It is the Puffapalooza event. You can get tickets at puffapalooza.brownpapertickets.com. And Puff Danny's Glass Boutique as well, out at 3383 4th Street in Wyandotte, Michigan. Being that there's still music playing, I also want to remind you that the Full Melt Radio Show will be broadcasting live from Chicago, Illinois, at the Navy Pier at the Medical Marijuana Canna Conference. The Canna Conference is put on by My Compassion. My Compassion is a nonprofit organization that helps spread the word, knowledge, and information about medical marijuana across this great land of ours. So in July, it'll be the third week in July. The event happens Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We will be doing our show from there, I believe, on Thursday and Friday. Saturday, we will be heading back to the studio to do our Monday program from the petpain.com studios. So today, joining us on the Canalock celebrity guest phone lines, live from Omara's restaurant in Birmingham, we are broadcasting the Planet Green Trees show, simulcasting their efforts out there with a live studio audience, talking about the MI Legalize campaign and its significance, what it means. Friends with the Planet Green Trees people, but there are a couple of people that are on the MI Legalize board. Jamie Lowell amongst them, owner-operator of the brand new establishment that has since changed its name from, and this is the only one I remember for some reason, the Third Coast Compassion Center in Ypsilanti. So I'm not sure exactly how they've modified their name. It's a little bit different, but everybody knows them by Third Coast. If you go to Ypsilanti in Michigan, please go out and check them out there. Jamie's on the board for MI Legalize. He works very hard at the Planet Green Trees radio show, organizing guests and other things. Rick Thompson, also a programmer on the show, or a regular guest on the show. Rick Thompson, editor of the CompassionChronicles.com, also a MI Legalize board member. Now, at the beginning of this program, at the beginning of this broadcast, you heard our live coverage, as it happened out there. We put together a report from Lansing when the campaign kicked off. I think we're making such a big hullabaloo out of this because, well, it's really important. It's important for the state of Michigan. I think it's important for other states to see Michigan succeed in this effort. It's been a long time coming. It's been worked on ever since the end of the campaign to get the Medical Marijuana Act done in this state back in 2008. But the Legalize campaign didn't really get its roots until we had problems with the Attorney General in this state, Bill Schuette, and law enforcement and courts, particularly prosecutors, finding ways to bend the Medical Marijuana Act in their favor and get court rulings to back them on those points. So they kind of made Swiss cheese out of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act, and they ended up using it more as a sword instead of its intended shield for the patients and caregivers providing and having access to medical marijuana under a doctor's supervision in the state of Michigan. It's hard for me to believe that the Attorney General and our legislators would be so angry about this that they would actually put patients in jail, sick people who have no real hope left. These are chronically disabled people that our government would really beat up on them to the extent they would place them as criminals, despite the fact that the people of this state, an overwhelming majority, said no, patients are not criminals. So it looks like we're returning from the break here at the Planet Green Trees radio show, unless they begin another song now, and they did. Jeez. I'm just saying, it's a long break, fellas. It's a really long break. That's okay. I don't mind because for the time being, I guess what I can do is just tell you how Michigan Am I Live. Not Am I Live. Listen to me. Oh, are they going to come back? They may be coming back. They're shuffling through the songs there. I don't know what they're doing out there. I do not run my show like this, I can tell you that.
All right.
They're back.
All right.
My pleasure.
Rejoining the Planet Green Trees radio program, simulcasting live in progress from Michigan.
Come on up here. Let's get... Knucklehead Bob not recognized. Come on up. Come on.
We're going to be back here July 30th. Come back to Omara's on July 30th.
Knucklehead Bob, come on. Can we get him up?
Yes. Applause.
Yay.
So we're going to talk Compassion Clubs. What?
Compassion Clubs.
We, I don't want to misspeak, and I have my own thoughts on this, but why don't we just jump right into it? Tell us, what is a Compassion Club, if you don't mind?
Well, how about if we give an intro here to our speaker?
Everybody knows what's going on. Come on.
Stephen Carponza from MOCC. You've been doing this for, goodness, 4 or 5 years now, right?
Yeah, we started the first Compassion Club in Oakland County here in Michigan back in...
Stand by.
The MOCC, the Macomb Oakland Compassion Club, because I grew up in Oakland and Macomb my whole life. Nobody else was really doing thing for patients as a social place to meet and meet other patients and just get education and information about medical marijuana, about using it the proper way, the safe way to transport it and everything like that. So we always wanted to be that base place that people can get their education and information from.
And it served as, it's hard to really make a fair comparison, but something like a support group to a certain extent, because when the law passed, you've got 80 plus years of prohibition, reefer madness, and all of a sudden this opportunity to use cannabis as a medicine, and people that might be interested, where do you go, what do you do, how do you find a caregiver? There was these questions that remained unanswered. And do we give Greg Francisco the credit for this? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we can. Greg and Brad, they are the ones that brought it to my attention with the MMA, going on the website and the forums and everything, and that's how I met a lot of you great people here, is through that website. And we kind of took it from there, and we didn't really have direction from any one person or place, so we since I was 15 years old, I'm 33 now, since I was 15, I've been using cannabis for medical reasons, for chronic cluster migraines. I don't take any kind of painkillers. I don't take any prescription drugs anymore because of medical cannabis, but I wanted to get that out there to teach people how to do that. So we started doing them at public libraries. A public library that's right next to a police station, and we were talking about cannabis when it first became legal here for medical patients. And, I mean, the turnout-wise, we had over 100 people at almost every single meeting at the public libraries. From there, it kind of turned into different things over the years, but we always have our core value is to be there for patients as a support crutch. We're a place that you can come and talk to other people that have medical issues, that use this great life-saving herb in different ways, not just smoking it, vaporizing it, taking it internally or topically, And we, like I said, we always want to try to teach people to be safe with it. And that's basically what the Compassion Clubs are. Compassion Club is not a dispensary. A Compassion Club is not a group that you go to and just sit around and smoke cannabis. It's a group of like-minded individuals that want to help educate other people about it in the safest ways.
And I don't want to get controversial about this. I know Jamie gives me some flack when I bring this up. Give me some notice on there to give me a hard time, Jamie. But we've talked about this in the sense, like, 2010, 2011, we saw the proliferation and beginning of dispensaries, and then began the debate of whether dispensaries are part of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act or not, what kind of behavior is allowed. We had the Queen decision, which was, like 11 different judges looked at it. They all had a different view of it almost. In terms of what was allowable, what was not allowable. But the point that I'm trying to make is that you saw this, in some communities, obviously, embracing them or tolerating them. And then there was this, massive shutdown of a lot of them that had gone on. There was about a 2 or 3 year period of time where I think you can make the argument that the traditional Compassion Club that we're describing here, that were a support group, there was a place to go to get information, and at a local level, not demanding transparency and to have people come and watch what they're doing and try to convince people that that's the model, but a real quiet, local, neighborhoody, vetting people, information gathering, going to people's homes, things like that, to gather an amount of trust and see what's going on. Because, the idea that, and these problems still exist in the law. Where do you go? How do you get started? If someone gets certified, they're diagnosed with cancer, and they have their first bouts of chemotherapy, and they're puking in a bucket, you need cannabis now. What does somebody do? Where do they go? How do they get there? One solution is if there's a dispensary that exists, but the Compassion Club was all that existed, and I think personally we still get emails, calls from people through the MMA all the time that looking where to go, what to do. They're looking for some guidance locally. It's not the kind of thing you want to always talk over the phone about. I give legal advice, but it's much easier done in someone's living room or right over the house, or meeting them at the public library and discussing it. And I always enjoyed those meetings. I've been to some of the MOCC meetings. Chad ran and still runs, if we consider it still existing, to Birmingham. See a lot of people that participated. Those things used to rock. It was a hot topic. People needed information. They would come there, doctors, lawyers, patients. It was an abundance of information and a fantastic social gathering with really supportive, interesting ideas. I don't know what happened. Who's going to take the blame? Anybody?
Well, I think we saw on a micro level with the Compassion Clubs the same thing we're seeing on a much larger level with the community as far as divisiveness. And people let their personal politics and agendas get in the way of the bigger picture. And, that's what Steve was mentioning earlier, which is really taking care of the patients, making sure that they have access to meds and that they're protected.
Well, I think there's another explanation for sometimes why Compassion Clubs aren't as prevalent now as they were before, and that's that people are educated. The information that they sought that you mentioned, Michael, many of them have received it. They went there looking for networking to get started in gardening, and now they're successful gardeners. So some of the reasons why those people came in the first place may not be as hot a topic as it was before.
Let me ask this question. Eric, you can answer too. I know you want to answer, but I just on this particular point. We were talking about the, we're talking about some of the vulnerabilities that we see caregivers in our, the cannabis industry, patients, having moving forward, and it's an attack on the existing caregiver system, the removal of it, either eliminating them from the marketplace with the provisioning center bills or trying to eliminate them entirely with a monopoly model. Is there vulnerability a cause of the lack of development of the caregiver system? And what I mean by that is this, and I'll stop talking so someone can answer the question. But, during the period of time where dispensaries became the viable option for patients to go to, it kind of cuts out the necessity of creating more and more good caregivers. In other words, those that are good at doing what they're doing are going to be in higher demand and being able to supply the places. And there becomes less of a demand for plentiful caregivers, that can be met in every community. But that is not a model that, conforms exactly to the current state of affairs. Some people don't have dispensaries in their community, and they'd much rather have, a caregiver that is treating them directly. And And maybe there would be more caregivers if there was less of a option. The demand for caregivers would be greater because there wasn't a centralized place. Jamie, wait.
We completely disagree that there would be less that there are less caregivers because of dispensaries.
All right.
Certainly not the way that
I think
that we do it.
Dispensaries provide a financial incentive for good caregiving that doesn't exist in a regular caregiver model. And as far as I'm concerned, any caregiver that provides for more than 5 patients is just a dispensary without a building.
Listen, I can make the argument all day long that if caregivers can't make money and then it defeats the system. And who came up with an idea?
Well,
that's
and part of it is
I'm not arguing that. I'm just talking about historically. That we. I want to hear Steve. Steve, you got a thought on that? Do you think that those two things correlate in any way?
I mean, it seemed to be at the beginning that people would come to the compassion clubs. They wanted to learn about growing. They wanted to learn about how to be involved and how to help other patients and stuff like that. So we would give them a place we would always say, hey, if you're a patient looking for a caregiver, raise your hands. If you're a caregiver looking for a patient, raise your hands. Well, we stopped having the patients raise their hands because then it was a shark pit, and they were getting mauled by the caregivers. It goes back to that fact that there's not a lot of compassion clubs here. They're kind of fading away because people are saying the novelty is worn off. It's not really the novelty, but every week I'm getting calls and emails from people. Every week. We took 6 months off as a club. Every single week in that 6 months, I got emails asking, what do I do? I just got started. I have this. I'm going through chemo. I'm really sick. I've got 8 months to live. I need to know how to do this. And I help those people. But the provisioning centers and dispensaries, that's still another viable option for certain people to go and do that. Some people don't have that kind of luxury, or they just don't want to. So I really, kind of hope that.
I don't want to in any way diminish the value of a dispensary and what it means because, as we described, if you don't have someone, if you don't have a place to go, if you can't go to a MOCC or a Birmingham Compassion and meet a caregiver who is willing to assist you, get you started, the immaculate conception of what your seeds and where do they come from? How do you engage in this stuff? And those were always resources and places for people to learn. But I'm saying, without knocking the dispensaries, what if we never went down that path? Like, what would the state be like? In other words, that wasn't an option. Let's say it was just clearly that there were no dispensaries and it was an exclusive caregiver system. Can it work? Because I don't see it as such. I mean, I'm not knocking the system at all, but the caregiver system. I think we see all the time. In order to be a caregiver, it requires a lot of work. You have to really be committed to helping patients, and people lose sight of that. And to really be genuine, if that's at first, But again, you're caregiving, you got all this risk, you got bills, it's expensive, and the people are sick and they don't have any money. So that's a ridiculous burden to ask upon people to not allow them to, get something from that. So I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying, what would have happened in Michigan? Would we have been able to make it with an exclusive caregiver system? Is that a system that would work? Just hypothetically. Jamie, what do you think?
I think eventually it would take a lot longer, though. The centralized locations for people to come together and learn about things and to share the various strains and products and to match up sooner with the patients what might be working for them means that you have a little bit of a shortcut to having that system work better. They kind of work in conjunction, and that's what I meant. When people come in to use our place for a while, sometimes they determine what works for them, and then they seek out a caregiver who can accommodate them for a much better cost and things like that. So I kind of felt we were an extension of that system, and that's how we've run our place from the beginning.
I'm a little concerned with the thought that, the caregiving system is being attacked right now by local communities. We have communities like Commerce Township that are passing rules that you have to register if you're a caregiver. There are specific ways that local communities are attacking the system. I would be worried that if there was no dispensaries as a second option, the caregiver system would be vulnerable to that local manipulation, as we've seen all across the state.
I like all the reasons that James said, finding the right strain and finding the caregiver for that, but for all intents and purposes, and we're just semantic names, there's a question over there we're going to get to, but a dispensary, the way Jamie's used it as a centralized place to gather information, is what a compassion club was. It just was not dispensing cannabis, Right. So all that information about finding about it could technically take place, in the grand scheme of things. The, county or the compassion club leaders are interacting with the other compassion club leaders and these sharing and statewide interacting. I mean, that was the original idea. It may be too, utopian driven, because there is a certain
That's a lot to expect from people without any profit motive.
I'm not. Yeah, I know. But I mean, that still remains a debate in Michigan. Police officers still believe that you can't get a profit. There's a question over there in the corner. I would not want to overlook it. Only that you're over the age of 21, and you have no prior felonies. Michigan resident. That you agree to help a patient. Yeah. I mean, there's no.
And then the patient has to want you to be their caregiver.
Yeah, I mean, you have to.
You can't caregiver without a patient certification. A patient has to choose you.
Correct.
Yep.
Yes, but
No
a
felony.
person that would fill that role, right?
Yep.
There's no requirements, for example, to become certified grower. Like you'd have to take a test or pass the security or safety.
There's no real controls. Like anybody can grow medical cannabis to be a caregiver or be a patient. They can grow it for themselves. And the biggest thing is some people can grow flowers. Some people can't keep flowers alive. Some people can grow flowers that turn brown really fast, or they just don't grow good. Correct.
That's one of the advantages of the caregiver system, and it's always been one, is that people that are very, very good can practice their craft and have the ability to spread that out amongst a lot of people. So you can help to compensate for some of those people that are maybe on the learning curve and they just haven't gotten to the good portion yet. That was the beauty of it, the networking and the transferring and all of the rest of that we thought that we had in 2009 and in 2010. The system that was exclusive caregivers was set up in a way that I thought would be self-sufficient, and dispensaries just made it better. But the way that things get interpreted, the caregiver system was really beaten down.
And we'd like the caregiver system, of course, too, for help with federal protection in case there would be a crackdown, a change in the weather.
I was going to make that point just because you were asking about the what does it take to be a caregiver. There's a reason for it because it's a unique. If you look at the various types of laws that exist medically across the country, there are dispensary states, and those states that became medical after Michigan, Arizona, Washington, D.C., they all had as part of their legislation or initiatives dispensaries. Very clearly, they were in the law. Prior to, I'm sorry, Jim.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've got experience with the Arizona law, and the dispensary law down there was really to the detriment of the caregiver system.
Well,
no, I don't think that would be.
What I'm saying is this, different states have different structures of their system of medical marijuana. Colorado clearly created a regulated medical marijuana dispensary system. They, directed licenses to grow it, to sell it, etc. Michigan, specifically in 2008, 2009, the political climate was such that the federal government was still going into states that had enacted medical marijuana laws and rating them, saying, you may have enacted a state law, but we're the federal government. We still say it's illegal, and we're going to come get you. And that was still going on. So the philosophy at the time of the well-funded marijuana policy project that paid for the ballot initiative, so to speak, was that they didn't want to centralize all the places that the patients would be and the growing in one particular place. Instead, let everybody grow it. They can't stop everybody. If everyone can grow in their basement and everyone can grow, in your house and for individuals and limited to a certain number of people, they can't stop everything. And no matter how crazy the federal government may get, at least we'll have this. They won't be able to take that away. So it was a good strategy at the time. And but some would even argue that it specifically did not contemplate dispensaries, and there would have been for the legislature some time to come up with some, they can amend it and, enact aspects of it. Federal law. Well, yes, that would agree. Right, the caregiving system is a legal system in Michigan. If you go through the process and you're a patient and you have a caregiver, that caregiver can sell you marijuana and you can buy it from them, and you should be without any bothering of anything. These dispensaries that exist throughout the state are serving fantastic purposes, and many of them that have been around, like Jamie's, for 6 years. They're not even a thing anymore. They've become like the gas station, or I should say the.
Yep. In Colorado, it's not homogenized. Certain communities can decide not to participate in the business aspect of it. So. So in the medical program before they got legal, you mean? Before they had the legal program? In Colorado's medical program, they did have distribution centers, but again, it was only in the bigger cities. Your Boulder.
That's not what she's asking. She's asking, how do they get the marijuana to sell it?
Okay.
Right.
Well, they have caregivers in Colorado, too. One of the differences is they can have an unlimited amount of patients, but only up to 6 plants.
Let me answer. She's asking, how does the marijuana get sold? Who's growing it? And just get it to the place to sell. The answer is that the dispensaries are growing it for themselves, and 70-80% of what they put on the shelves has to be grown by themselves. They can go out and get it from the remainder. They are not looking to the citizens of Colorado growing marijuana, which they can, 6 plants legally, as a basis to buy their product to sell on it. Although they can a little bit, I think, but not more than the 10-20%.
They've removed vertical integration, but so there's some of it that most of it's provided by larger growing operations in Colorado, some of which are connected to the dispensaries, but there are also independent growing operations too. I believe that to be true. There's still a medical program in Colorado, yes, and so that whole thing still exists. So you're right. Caregivers still exist and are servicing patients independent of the recreational market.
And you've kind of identified the real issue for both the medical and legal going forward, which is if we're going to have a market like this that's, everything that's in a marketplace economically is regulated in some manner. The question is going to be, that's right. And as we move forward in this, you're going to see this debate, which you're kind of describing. How do you, is it easier to regulate, 200 large grows with thousands of plants that are selling at, 500 dispensaries throughout the state, or 50,000 individual caregivers that are each growing 72 plants? It's a much more challenge, but that's our law. That's our law in Michigan. And that's kind of, I think, what people are, that's been the struggle of who, how is this going to be? Exactly. Ernest and Julio cannabis is what you're describing.
Yeah. When you find that the strains that are popular, then that's what people stock, and then the variety goes away, and it's, just like anything else.
We certainly still need a hybrid system, though. There's people that are not in our community, aren't familiar with our community, don't know how to get started, and a lot of those people are very sick, and they need a place to be able to go readily and immediately obtain their medication. So the hybrid system is absolutely necessary, and there's a role for both caregivers and dispensaries in our system.
And there's a role for the compassion clubs, too, because patients need to be able to congregate. They need to be able to have a support system. And it's nice when those are available at commercial entities, but that's not always possible. And that's the reason why things like MOCC and the Harvest Fest that they do every year, that's a fantastic gathering.
That was the point I was going to make, Rick, is that, dispensaries and compassion clubs probably will always exist and be needed in both aspects, just like Rick described, mainly because you do need a support group. When this law first passed, that support group in the form of compassion clubs was critical, I think, to most of us, if not all of us. For sure. From the very early stages on, from when we first got our cards, and we were all trying to figure out, how do we do this? How do we conduct this? How do we meet patients, caregivers, and so forth? I think it's all tied together. We need it all.
Who's been kind of quiet tonight? Does anyone recognize that someone's been very quiet? It's probably very vocal on this topic.
Chad?
Yes.
Chad from Birmingham.
The Birmingham Compassion Club needs to be heard from. What does he have to say about all this? Chad Carr.
Chad Carr from Birmingham Compassion.
I saw that coming. I even had myself muted.
That's less of the concern.
The question from the crowd at Amiro's was that keeping it more of a grassroots creates more variety, and therefore it's better for the patients. Is that what you're saying? Yep, I think we would all agree with that. Yep.
I definitely think so.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, the fact is, if you look at the pharmacy counter for pain relievers, you got 12, 15 different brands. Each one of them has 5 or 6 different strengths and styles, and a baby aspirin is completely different from an extra strength style and all. And each one of those different ones has a product, has a market, and has a customer base. And if they weren't selling those things, they wouldn't be on the shelf. And each one of the distribution centers can be the same way too. However, we're concerned that with the monopolization of that the control would be gained by people who don't have a real feel for what the medical needs are out there. And there has to be a feedback system. When there's a patient and a caregiver, the patient tells the caregiver what to do, the caregiver does it, the patient gets what they need. That's a feedback system. That just doesn't exist at Walmart. You don't go in there in Walmart and say, hey, I need blah, 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 cranberry flavored whatever. You're not going to get it next week. Yep, that's a consequence of government control.
But you know what? I was on the phone with someone, and as I was driving north on Telegraph, I noticed every single store in what was the Tel 12 Mall that used to be individualized kind of mom and pop shops is not anymore. It was so the way that we have become accustomed to buying goods and services is by large corporations that have figured out a formula to have the most amount of stuff, the most efficient way made, and get it in the and that's the way we buy goods, and that is contrary to our existing caregiver system, where it's individual per individual and not, and that's one of the problems I think when, I mean, the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act on its face is a good law. It allows for all these things that's been criticized unfairly, and, and when you begin to criticize and open it up and move in a different direction, anything can happen. That's one of the unfortunate aspects of the political side of things.
I truly believe that MI legalization, giving the caregivers model the strength it needs to continue on, I think is critically important, because keeping all the caregivers and being able to farm all of their individual strains creates that diversity and creates. The fact is, I know people that have created and bred genetic strains that are simply not found anywhere else in the world. You can't even find a strain that even looks even remotely close to this. I mean, I've grown cannabis, medical cannabis myself, where the bud is of such an obscure color, it just leaves people in a shock and awe. When you produce a bud that is of significance in that regard, or even when you have it go tested, and the technician shows you the graph on the test and says, look, you've got cannabinoids here that don't show up in anybody else's test. That's a rarity. And when you have that genetic diversity amongst so many caregivers, those genetics are preserved and they won't go away. They'll always be here. There'll always be new land races to join to them. As long as everyone has the right to grow their own, those genetic land races will continue on.
Unfortunately, I don't think we even do that with our regular farming of food. It's more one seed.
Very true.
I'm making the point that that's the way we are becoming accustomed to things. It's not right. I think it's a lot of the problems that we have with our health, even beyond that. But we're, being able to, the farmer to control, they have their own seeds. Right, and that they're distributing one type of seed now that is for, there's no variety of different types of strains of bananas, for example, or, other types of fruits and vegetables. You see one, and tomatoes.
Think about. Even in the state of Michigan, you have such a diversity amongst fruit and production. Look at Traverse City. Traverse City has a plethora of different cherry genetics, plum genetics, and other fruit genetics that you cannot and will not find anywhere else in the country, if not the world. You cannot find even something close to that. When you look at a plum from Traverse City, from one tree to the next, it's radically different, color and everything.
Everyone's got a friendly story from their childhood where they're driving along and pulled over in a Traverse City and got some cherries.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. And that's like the mon pa, roadside that is almost non-existent in our
just doesn't
farmers markets kind of.
Well, and when you talk about biodiversity and the loss of it, if you have only 2 or 3 strains of a particular thing, and then disease or insect problems come, those 2 or 3 are destroyed. You don't have anything to fall back upon. The advantage of Mother Nature is that she has such a broad palette available to us that it's able to withstand any kind of shock. So,
8 minutes left. Let's get some more Steve from the MLCC. Get in here. What are your thoughts? What do you see the future of I mean, you can talk about anything you want.
And are you guys doing the Harvest Fest this year? That's what I want to know.
Okay. So last year, we'll go with the Harvest Fest first. So last year we did our 6th annual Harvest Festival last year. It would have been our 3rd year at the place out there in Macomb Township. We never had any kind of issues or anything like that there before, but last year somebody in the township just didn't like the fact that a marijuana group was going to get together and have a picnic. Basically, that's all it is a picnic. They didn't like it. They actually opened the courthouse at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday just for me. I felt real special about that. And they put an injunction on our event, and we did not hold our regular Harvest Festival. So we moved over to Stony Creek and did a impromptu setup there, got it going. We still had a good time. No matter what, the man can't keep us down. We are going to do something again this year. It's going to be for our community. It's going to be the same thing as it is every year. It's the Harvest Festival. It's a gathering of great people and food and friends and good times and play some ganja bingo and stuff like that. So you guys will be hearing some more about the Harvest Festival. That's probably going to be in September, October, as it usually always is. We'll always have vendors and stuff like that, and everybody from the community will be there. Maybe we can even get Planet Green Cheese to do a broadcast or something, depending on what day it is. And as far as compassion clubs, such as like Birmingham Compassion, Macomb Oakland Compassion Club, we're going to be here forever. We're not going anywhere.
Good.
If there's ever going to be a dispensary, once we get these dispensary provisioning centers like on the books that we're actually legal to have them, you're going to probably see more people trying to start compassion clubs again because they're going to see, hey, look at these provisioning centers want to use us and they're going to direct people towards us. We can help more people. So we're never going to go anywhere. We're always going to be here. We're always going to be working hand in hand with the other people in the community, such as like Jamie with Third Coast Compassion up there, and I wish that there was a good compassion club up there by you guys that you guys could have right next door or in your building. You could always come down here and open something this way. And
Hey, and speaking of that, we hope that you, your club on a regular basis, joins us for these meetings at Omara's at the end of every month.
This is great.
We'll keep on building from here.
Yeah, the last Thursday of every month. This is a great place. They got good food, good service. So, gets us a chance to get together. But yeah, compassion clubs, you don't have a choice. We're here to stay.
All right.
That's good. There's not that many true compassion clubs that remain, and it's good to see that the originals are still hanging in strong.
Yeah, we never wanted to go towards, we've had different, we've always done our monthly meetings. Like I said, we took 6 months off just to recoup and rejuvenate. But we always did monthly meetings at least once a month. If not, at one point I think we were doing 4 to 6 a month in different cities across Macomb and Oakland. And then last year we were doing, once every Sunday, we were doing a social club. It was a social gathering of just of members. And it kind of got a little, I don't want to say stale, but it was just, it was a lot to do. And we became down to like 3 people that were running the club. So, the more people that always get involved, even with signing these petitions for Michigan Legalize and stuff like that, if you're a cannabis user, medically or not, you need to go out there and help this community. You're part of the community, and it's also your job to go out there and help get signatures and help spread the good word about it and teach people the right way to use it.
Yeah.
And it's not weed, it's not grass, it's cannabis. It's medical cannabis or recreational cannabis, and that's what people need to learn.
Very well said. There's 3.5 minutes left, and it's very hard for me to do this and not talk the rest of the time, but I'm going to let Eric Gunnels, who's been discussing with me all day this fantastic political event that happened in the city. He gave a fantastic speech, got a terrible piece of legislation shut down, and he's been wanting to talk about it. Please, I'm taking your time. Go.
Well, in my township, they tried to pass a nuisance ordinance, which was very overreaching. It's very strong language, very broad, very vague, and didn't make a lot of sense. And for the most part, the community came out in about 40 people showed up at the public hearings, and they gave their opinions, which were mostly objective to it. In fact, I think only one person said they were actually for it, and all the rest of them just said they were against it. They didn't really like the language or had at least an issue or many questions or objections to it. But overall, it was a political victory because after delivering a strong, powerful speech, which I felt was needed at the time to persuade my colleagues on the board, to vote against this piece of legislation and either send it back to committee to be redrafted in a much more loose or at least relaxed fashion. We won that vote. We voted it down 4-3 on a 7-member board, and that's a political victory. I mean, anytime. Thank you.
Hey, so Eric, isn't it true that there were some things, although not specifically referencing cannabis, but some aspects of this legislation that could lead to hurting
yes, like you're right, like specifically smells and odors, which you can obviously see how that's directed toward the medical cannabis community. In fact, one very very brave woman from my community stood up at the podium and announced that she was a medical marijuana caregiver and that she was. She was legal. She'd had the chief of our police over to her house, and he even had commented how when he walked up, he smelled the presence of cannabis. And she said, "Well, if you put this ordinance into effect, isn't that going to give my neighbor every excuse to be able to call up the chief and make a complaint on me every single day of the week until I get fined or whatever?" And then that goes to, and then the counter argument is, well, some are made a living hell by nuisances or whatever, but fine, but I don't want to pass legislation that is so restrictive to everybody else that it makes everyone else's life in the community a living hell too.
And Thetford already has, just like all other townships and cities, they already have ways of dealing with nuisances anyway. There are a variety of different remedies that already exist, right?
Sure. And
exactly.
Yes, but that overall, thank you. It was a good victory, and it was a good show.
Michael, excellent show here at Omara's. How about a round of applause for Omara's, everybody? Great place, Berkley, Michigan.
All right, that's it, I guess. A couple minutes left. We finished on time. I think everyone.
Hey, that's
no
like
injuries. I think everyone made it out okay.
Finished on time.
We'll fight another day.
Right.
All right, so thank you, everybody. We're going to wrap it up right there, and we'll be back on another
July 30th.
July 30th. Yay! Here at Omara's in Berkley.
We need to pack this place next time.
Yep.
All right, we thank you for joining us as we live simulcast the Planet Green Trees show in celebration of the big kickoff for the MI Legalize campaign. We normally do not simulcast the Planet Green Trees show, although sometimes when something important happens in Michigan, often it happens on a Thursday, and we like to include those guys. So thanks for joining us for that. Look, you can join us here on the Full Melt program here at thefullmelt.com Monday through Friday, every day, at 7 p.m. And that's how it's going. So join us live in the Candlelock Studios again tomorrow. In the meanwhile, look, I've got to squeeze in another break for our advertisers. If you'll allow me the second to disconnect from the Green Trees thing before I pick our audio back up, because that can be problematic. I do want to squeeze in another break for our advertisers, because our advertisers are so extremely important to keeping this program on the air. Were it not for our advertisers, we would not be here. So if you get a chance, I just signed up 2 more people today, just as this broadcast was being simulcast. Signed up 2 people for the MI Legalize campaign, legalizing marijuana in Michigan. Once and for all. Nobody going to jail anymore. What, are you kidding me? Can't stand it anymore. So hang on for this commercial break. We'll be back for the end of this program, which is in an extended format. We are in unusual form today. Whatever you do, don't go away. We'll come back with more on the Full Melt program coming up next.
You're getting the Full Melt.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at canalock.com. Visit canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Imagine a world where patients can use marijuana like any other medicine. The Marijuana Patients Organization challenges the status quo by helping our neighbors to enjoy a better quality of life. Visit the MPO at marijuanapatients.org and enjoy informative articles, engaging debates, and information about treatments, doctors, and dispensaries in your area. Over 50,000 people have registered at marijuanapatients.org since 2010. Join us at the Marijuana Patients Organization today, marijuanapatients.org.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience, bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. petpain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
Introducing Sacred Elements, a place for natural and alternative healing for the mind, body, and soul. Sacred Elements. It's one place, all solutions.
Alkaline water, herbal remedy, essential oil.
Sacred Elements.
Natural and organic shampoo, lotion, pain cream, bath salt.
Sacred Elements.
Beeswax candles and handmade crafts, canes and walking sticks, artwork, jewelry, and repurposed goods.
Sacred Elements. Next to the Sweet Leaf, 400 South Door Highway, Flint.
11 to 7 daily, closed Sunday.
Call 810-259-2570. It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Radio Show.
You know, you can hear us here normally Monday through Friday from 7 until 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when the program airs live. Of course, you can get us on Spreaker or at thefullmelt.com anytime. After we're off the air, you can listen to the program as a podcast. If you want to get that podcast regularly, it's as simple as clicking on the iTunes link right there at thefullmelt.com. Click on the iTunes link and subscribe to us on iTunes. We did the Puffapalooza thing. We did the Legalize thing. What else? Is there anything else to cover? I think we got it all covered today. Well, look, if you're still listening to this program live, and I hope you are, I got to thank you for joining us for this special broadcast. And as we close out, I just have to say this. It's really, really super important to the Michigan economy, to the economy of the nation as a whole, that this nation divest itself of the cannabis issue as a criminal element. When you use marijuana as a responsible adult in this nation, it is no different than using any other substance like alcohol as an adult libation. And if you continue to pressure this into being a criminal justice issue, then you are going to burden the system beyond its capacity. We've already experienced that. So this is a social health issue and should be dealt with as such, and clean the hands of the police department so they can focus on violent crime instead of on the low-hanging fruit of marijuana patients. See you tomorrow on the program.
The Full Melt Show is a production of TFM Media.